What up, everyone? This is Alex, and we're starting the install of my aftermarket seats into the wide body S3. So what I did was ended up taking the interior out, and for you to get the front seats out, you're gonna need a T50 Star or Torx, and so I've already done everything. So it's pretty barren in here. And then next we're going to show you the seats and then install the brackets. And then I'll show you who's the lucky company. Actually, I'm really privileged to be represented or to be representing them. So I'll show you that here in a second. So we're starting the install of the BRAUM seats. Thank you, BRAUM Racing, for sending me the Elite X's in maroon. And we're putting in the sliders right now. So what I want to recommend to everyone is that when you are putting them in, use blue Loctite. So we got my buddy Ace here, Team Legacy. So we're gonna put that in. You want to use an Allen key, but you don't want to put them in all the way tight yet, and just leave it loose enough, and then line them up. So next, we're putting in the handles themselves. You want to make sure that where it's kind of arced upward, you want to make sure that that you put that facing up. And they should just click right into place. And then you bolt them up afterwards. It's fine if you fuck up, we can edit this out. Okay, so we've got the bracket on now. And you're gonna need a 13 for the bolts. And let me show you. So you're gonna take this side, you're gonna put it on top. And you're going to need an Allen key to hold that in while you're tightening the other part down. You just want to make sure you don't get the bolts too tight, because you still need to give it some kind of slack to make sure everything lines up right. Okay, so the seat's propped up and the sliders are even. And then I'm going to put the last set on. So this is the passenger seat. And this is one of the brackets that was made by 425 Motorsports, aka Planted. So this is all CNC machined. We're going to get this on. And then I'll show you the step by step. Okay, so I've got one bolt in right now. And I put some blue Loctite on there. Always want to put blue Loctite on everything, so that way it doesn't come undone. So I had to go to Lowe to grab some extra washers. Just want to make sure and keep those clamped down, but hopefully they should. So this is the passenger side. I got the driver's side mounted in the car already, but that's pretty much it. So make sure again that when you are putting these bolts in, that you make sure that this side faces down, and then you're going to need a 13 millimeter, which is this bad boy that I got at Harbor Freight. It's a ratcheting one. So just to kind of give an example, so I've already tightened all this down, but make sure you do that. You're going to have to slide it up and down so you can get some leverage and get behind the bolt, so you can get the Allen key on the other side. So you don't want to over refit, just make sure it's tightened. And that's it. So Right after this, I'm gonna go finish the second OEM seat and tear the wires out. So hopefully that should be it, but we will see. Okay, so this next part, I already did that with the OEM seats on the driver's side. So this next part, I'm going to take apart the sensors from the wire looming, and then I'm gonna undo the bolt to the seat belt. So you're going to need this nifty guy. I'll show you. Need this bad boy. This is an M8, and this is a 12-point spline that you're gonna need to take this guy out. So it's in there pretty good, but once you get that 12-point in, you'll be good to go. I wouldn't recommend using a 6-point Torx. So you can probably find this at like AutoZone or any other place, like probably even check out Harbor Freight. But I got this from AutoZone though. Now, once the OEM seat is taken out, you've got this big old wire loom. And so what I did was I ended up cutting these off, and I had to trace which ones I need. So let me see here. This is your sensor for the seatbelt. And then what I did was I followed it and I traced it up to here. So you're gonna have to pop this guy out from the back side. And what I did was I took a flat head and wedged it in between, and then it just popped out pretty easily. So make sure you take this with you. I did that on the driver's side. So the passenger side has a few more things in it. And then what I did was, after I kind of untangled all this mess, then I threaded it through. And then I transferred it onto the other seat. And I'll show you here after I do this. So you had to, I think this is the pressure occupancy sensor. So the driver's side didn't have one. But you just have to cut some clips and pull out of the seat. So here is the unit itself for the seatbelt. So that's a sensor. I'm going to be in uncharted territory, so I don't know what this end is for. But hopefully I might be able to bypass this. I'm trying to do some more research on getting a resistor, so that way my airbag light doesn't go on. Anyway, we'll have more on that after this. So these guys right here, the OEM bolt is a little too short to fit into this spot. So what I ended up doing was I had to get some grade 8. You need to get an M12 to get to the OEM fit. And so what I ended up doing was putting that there, and another washer, and then don't forget to Loctite all of this. So we'll do that here in a second, and then you're gonna need one of these, pretty thick one. So show you in a second. All right, that's it. So how to use the wrench to get on this side, and then the socket, and just tighten it, and then you just want to hold this still. So it's a little tricky, but that's how you do it. So after that, then we're just going to clean it up, zip tie the harnesses or the wires underneath. So now that that's on, I basically zip tied all of this. I know I should have used black, but all I have were white ones, and it's underneath the seat, so no one's ever going to notice. But this side is closer to the console, so it's gonna be really hard to see this unless you really peek down. But that's it. So Not the prettiest job, but that's all I needed to do. That's pretty snug. So not going anywhere. These aren't going anywhere. So that's it. And then I left a little bit of room for the sensor itself. This one you want to kind of give it a little bit more slack, because you can always tuck it into the carpet later where it plugs back in. So we're all set. I'll have to figure out the airbag, the side airbag sensors. But so far this is it. Okay, car is kind of cleaned out, so I vacuumed everything, and then we're ready to put the seat in. So as I said before in an earlier video, these are 12 points. You're going to need a spline for that, so you want an M10 for this. And then you want to torque it down to 40 Newton meters. So I'll show you guys here in a second. Okay, seats in the car. I'm going to show you, once you get the harness and everything in, you want to plug this guy right in here. And that's it, and then you just clip that and you're good to go. Everything's lined up, and you just have to hand tighten these in. You don't want it too tight yet because you still have to adjust. So once these guys are in, then you can go ahead and torque them down. Okay, so I ran into a slight complication, and where I have this bolt right here, turns out that even with the key, it won't fit in this bracket, where there's not enough room to leverage it. So I ended up going to Harbor Freight, and I picked up one of these, same thread pattern, same length, but it has a 17 head on it. So when I put the seat back down, it'll be able to, I can get a crescent wrench in there, and I should be able to clean that up and put in better. So other thing I didn't mention is when I cut this piece off, this is for your airbag resistor. And in order to do that, I had to cut the brown wire, and then I soldered the resistor in to the black and blue wires, doesn't matter which way. And then the resistor you're going to need is a 3.3 ohm, 0.25 watts, and a 2 amp. So this is what was recommended. I was looking at some Mark 7 Golf R or like GTI forums, and this is what the Mark 7 guys did with their seats. So I did the same. And then after that, hopefully I'll be able to go into VAGCOM or VCDS and be able to code it out and reset everything. So, but other than that, just put the new bolts in, good to go. I think while the seat's out, I'm going to vacuum this up. Sorry, it kind of looks like a mess, but that's it. Okay, so this is it. Seats are in. They're absolutely beautiful, and they really make the car stand out. But that's it. So in my next video, I will be doing a harness bar install from BRAUM and the harnesses themselves.